I need to explain what's going on because I see a lot of questions about it here in chat. We have, Lacey M has been asking the important question here. 12 rounds, then broke it. Again, I really dislike the prosecutor. The prosecutor, by the way, she is actually a very, very amazingly qualified, wonderful defense lawyer. She was brought in as a special prosecutor in this case because the original prosecutor was problematic, shall we say, in dismissing the charges against Alec Baldwin. Okay, here's the deal with what they're talking about. Alec Baldwin has maintained that he never pulled the trigger. He said he pulled back the hammer a little bit, and then it must have slipped or something, and then the hammer went crashing down and into the primer, and the gun went off. So he's saying that he didn't pull the trigger, he pulled the hammer back, and it must have slipped and hit the primer. And the other thing he's saying, he's been saying, I don't know, maybe the gun was modified or tampered with from its original condition. So this witness here has testified that it was not modified or changed in any way from its original shape. So that defeats that assertion by Alec Baldwin. The next thing is whether or not the gun could have done what Alec Baldwin said it did. And that's what all of this testing was about. They gave him a perfect gun. The gun was perfect condition. Nothing was broken. Everything was perfectly functional. The purpose of the FBI testing was they tried to get it to do what they said Alec Baldwin said it did. They tried to get it to do what Alec Baldwin said it did. In other words, just pull the hammer back, let it go, and do it. They tested it. They said they were hitting it with mallets from all 6 sides of the gun. They were trying to, they would pull it back, they would let it go, and it would catch on the half cock, or if you pull it back past the quarter cock and just lift up on the hammer will fall and catch on the bar that serves as the safety at the half cock mark. If you pull it back past the half cock mark and let it go, it'll catch on the half cock bar. If you pull it all the way back, it'll catch until you pull the trigger. They tried to replicate pulling the hammer back, letting the hammer go, and having it hit the firing pin. That never happened. No matter what they did, the FBI couldn't get it to do what Alec Baldwin said it did. So they start pounding it with a hammer to say, okay, if it's just left in its current position and we smash it with a rawhide mallet, if they smash it with a rawhide mallet, will it discharge? They got it to discharge twice. Once when it was just the hammer was at rest and the firing pin was resting against the primer. They smashed the back of the hammer, and that provided enough force to get it to discharge. That was without it cocked at all, with the hammer at rest up against the primer. The other time they got it to misfire was when the hammer was pulled all the way back and they smashed it with a mallet so hard that apparently it broke the weapon. And that caused it to misfire. So the whole gist of this, the whole reason why they were talking about it being in good condition and now it was damaged, was to prove that it wasn't modified, it wasn't damaged, it was in perfect condition when they got it. And any damage happened as a result of the FBI trying to replicate what Alec Baldwin said it did. And the conclusion is there was absolutely no way, nothing that the FBI could do to replicate the scenario that Alec Baldwin said, that it just went off when I let go of the hammer. They had to break the goddamn gun in order for it to do what Alec Baldwin said it did and go off without pulling the trigger. Now, this leads to the question of, well, what does this have to do with Hannah Gutierrez Reed? This is shit you want to bring up in Alec Baldwin's trial. Not necessarily hers, but we'll see where they go with it. So I hope, Lacey Ann, that answered your question as to what all this 12, it wasn't just 12 rounds and they broke it. They fired 12 rounds through it, and then they tried to get it to do what Alec Baldwin said, and then they started pounding on it with a mallet to try to get it to do what Alec Baldwin said, and eventually they broke it in order to get it to do what Alec Baldwin said. He just did magically. So that's the gist of that. I hope it makes more sense. A lot of you are asking those questions in chat, and the Daryl Smith here again, I don't understand if the gun wasn't damaged when he got it. Why are we going over the damage they caused? He was saying it was not damaged. So therefore, Alec Baldwin's assertions that it was damaged or tampered with was bullshit. It was a perfect gun when they got it. Any damage the FBI did, and so it would not have done what Alec Baldwin said. Worlds without end.